Allegedly, where we slow the story down. This is about insight versus impact, learning from what we observe. Instead of paying the price ourselves, their experiences become our education. So growth doesn't have to come with damage.
So hello, thank you so much for staying with us. This is episode 40. Allegedly episode 40. So this is allegedly episode 40. I am Coach Racquel, and let's begin. Okay. So for today's allegedly, we're reacting to the internet, ownership, accountability, and personal choice. All right. Now, if you see me look over here, it's because I have my script over here, and let me be clear. I want to maintain the integrity of my podcast and the integrity of the stories. And I want to make sure that when I'm expressing myself and when I'm relating the stories, that I'm doing it in a way that's responsible. And that's why I have a script to keep me focused and on target. All right. But this is my script that I prepared. But let's go. So in this allegedly segment, we'll be reacting to the internet, ownership, accountability, and personal choice. And so welcome to Allegedly, the segment where we react, reflect, question, and sometimes challenge the ideas shaping culture. And as always, these are conversations, not attack. Right. And really, this is where truth meets opinion and headlines meet hard questions. And before I even go deeper into this, I want to read our fair use statement. So let's get to that. All right. So copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And in this podcast, we're doing it for multiple of those reasons: criticism, commenting, news reporting, teachings, and research. So that's why we're here today, and that's what we're talking about. And I want to say this as well, that this allegedly segment, when it was created, it was not created to demean or to diminish or to cause harm to anyone. This is about examining our culture, examining what is happening in our in and around our environment, and looking at the gossip and transforming that into growth, and really going through, and I share my thoughts on what is happening in our world, or those stories that touch me, those stories that I feel like they got my attention and they touched me. And I just want to add my voice to the conversation, but in a wholesome way, I would say. And I don't mean wholesome in comparison to somebody else, just in a positive way, I hope, in a balanced way, in a way that is beneficial to the good of ourselves, that is beneficial to our growth and advancement. So I look at it from the perspective of breakdowns, create opportunities for self-work, and self-work will always produce breakthroughs. So that is how I view it. And so please bear that in mind as I go through these topics, and I'll be sharing some videos with you. All right, so let's keep going. Now, for today's topic, for today's episode, let's go back to our script. So welcome back to Allegedly, the segment where we react, reflect, question, and sometimes challenge the ideas shaping culture. And as always, these are conversations, not attacks, not judgments, just thoughts, reflections, and personal accountability. Because a perfect life may not be possible, but a life of personal choice is. A life lived on your own terms, that is absolutely possible. Now, let's go to our first clip. And you won't see the clip, but you'll hear it. And this clip is Cheyenne Bryant, commonly known across the internet as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Now, the reason I have it in air quotes is because at this point in time, her credentials are being questioned. All right. So, Cheyenne Bryant, have you earned a PhD? Cheyenne Bryant, have you earned a PhD? Now, I'm not saying Cheyenne Bryant to be disrespectful to her, but that's her name based on what's been published, right? And I'm not using the doctor because, again, like I said, that is in question, but her name remains her name, correct? Okay. So, have you earned a PhD? That's my question for you today. Have you earned a PhD? Now, this conversation touched something important for me. My position is simple. As long as a resume is required, credentials matter in today's world. I believe that we were all born. I was listening to a clip on TikTok, and the young man was saying, nobody needs to teach a fish to swim. The fish was born with the swim in it, right? Nobody has to teach a dog to bark, right? Nobody has to teach the birds to chirp and to fly. They do that. They were born with it. I do believe that human beings were also born with natural gifts and natural talents. And however, the world has this construct that it has us all operating in, and we're all subjected to these operational rules and guidelines and systems, right? And so if we're going to be talking about service to people, there has to be some degree of fairness and some degree of common requirements across the board, right? So my position is very simple. Like I said, as long as a resume is required, credentials matter. If a job application asks for education, if licensing bodies require qualifications, if organizations request experience, then factual information matters. Credentials matter. Truth matters. But equal to that, every customer, employer, investor, donor, and community member has a responsibility to research where they invest. I want to say that again. And I'm saying this because too often we shift responsibility for ourselves and our choices to somebody or something or somewhere else when we are accountable for our choices. So every customer, employer, investor, donor, and community member has a responsibility to research where they invest. Are you invested where you are investing? Think about that, please. Personal responsibility goes both ways, right? So now let's go to the clips, and then we're going to talk about some advantages and disadvantages. Let's listen.
3 doctorates, a master's degree.
Hold on, hang on.
I ran into 6 degrees, 3 doctorates, a master's.
I have never heard anyone who've earned any degree or any accomplishments or any achievements that they've earned. I've never heard somebody say, I ran into it. See, we have a responsibility to listen, because I really don't think this lady lied. One of the issues I see that we have is we're trying to convince the devil, and I'm not saying she's the devil, just in general. We try to convince the devil to believe what we believe so we can feel comfortable and justified in associating with it. We have this tendency to go around wanting people to believe what we believe, as though we can't connect, or we can't have conversations, or we can't coexist without people believing what we believe, without people being who we want them to be. And I think that is the threat that we face. That's the threat, the major threat. Because if we go around thinking people are who they are, I expect them to be who they are, I pay attention to when they tell me who they are, then it's just information. It's just information, and then I can make wise or informed decisions and choices. But no, we're busy. Like, I hear everyone saying, this woman, she needs to do this. She never came and say, hey, hire me because I'm qualified. She never said that. She never came and said, hire me because I have all these credentials. She never said that either. In fact, she's been telling you the entire time who she is. And instead of listening to it as information and deciding, okay, since she's not educated as I would like, since she's not credentialed as I would like, since she's saying, for those of us who don't accept her as she is, we can F off, then let me F off and leave her be. I don't need to invest there. She can exist as she is. We say, the Bible say, let the wheat and tares grow. So why do we keep going around trying to convert everything to be wheat or tares? What are we doing? We're not God. We're always trying to play God. We're not God. Anyway, this lady said, I ran into 3 degrees. She ran into it. There's this movie called Chicago. And in the movie, there's a part in the song where the lady said, he ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times. He ran into my knife 10 times. My interpretation, I didn't kill him. He killed himself by running up on me. I didn't deceive you. You choose to accept me. I am telling you, I ran into 3 degrees. I've never in my entire life heard anyone who worked their ass off to achieve anything present it that way. Now let's continue.
Degree, a house at 19, my first home. I ran into 6 degrees, 3 doctorates, a master's degree, a house at 19, my first home, a daycare at 19, 3 retail stores on Merrill's.
Well, damn, you was a professional student.
It's very simple. I went to a school, Argos University, completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts, because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down. I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean,
you're not seeing the video. I'm sorry about that. But she did that. First of all, for me, and I'm not saying this lady's lying, but we have to use wisdom. We must use wisdom in our lives as we live, as we make choices. I would never have contracted this lady for anything. You know why? As she's talking, all I'm looking at is her eyes, and she doesn't have safe eyes for me. She does not come across with safe, honest eyes for me. And it's something that I've always noticed. I always notice her eyes just look like they're under stress. They just look stressed. You know, they don't look like someone who's happy and relaxed and talking to me. That's just my opinion, right? Also, there's a thing she does where she lips her lip. Have you ever seen a snake? I'm not saying she's a snake. I'm not saying she's a snake. I don't know this woman. But that's how a snake behaves, with the tongue, wagging it across. She's not licking her lips, so to speak. Just, no, I'm no body expert or anything. I'm just decoding for myself, because I have a responsibility to myself when I'm going to engage in any kind of relationships or business with anyone, right? I'm just saying, to me, there's so many signs here that says to me, make sure this is what you really want to do. Who is this person? What are they about? Before you hire them, before you engage with them, before you believe what they're trying to tell you, before you accept what they're saying as facts or truth, You have to evaluate. You have to pay attention. Look at their actions, their bodily movements. Their movements, right? Watch them. And I'm watching her eyes. And in my spirit and the energy that comes from her, for me, is something is off here. I don't have to know what's off. I just know something's off. That's enough for me to know. Do not invest here. Leave. And if I'm not investing, what do I have a problem for? Who is crying? There's one person who I hear come out saying that she was negatively impacted by having hired this person. Now, I think that if there are people practicing in certain areas of business, there are always governing bodies to those businesses. For me, let the governing bodies handle it, because it requires evidence, it requires testimonials, and all of those things before I can start saying, oh, this person should not be allowed to practice or not. But as far as I have heard this lady, I am not yet hearing a lie. She's been her actions tell me who she is. Her words are telling me. She said she ran into 3 degrees. Why would I go to that? Why would I want to choose a psychologist who ran into their degree? So she can run into her degrees. She has the right to exist. She has the right to do business, to hustle, to make money, to survive in this world, right? But guess what happened? She's not going to hustle me because I'm paying attention. And if I slip and she hustles me, then I forgive myself and I move on. Because the truth of the matter is I've not heard the lie yet. She's been clear. But you see, we hear what we want to hear, and we complain that we didn't hear what we're supposed to hear. You're supposed to hear it, receive it as information, and move with wisdom accordingly. Stop telling people what they should be, how they should be, what they should say. That's irrelevant. Listen and receive what they're already presenting and use that to make your decision. That's how I live anyway. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that's what I feel that's how we really should approach things. It's information. Let's continue.
They were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Why contact the third party? That third party only holds records for 2 years.
A parchment now holds all of the documentation from every student that attended that university.
Let me say this, because you see, all this, whether or not, this is what I think is base level. I cannot imagine a person on earth who paid their money, who did the work to earn any degree, and then it disappears, and they treat it with they're flippant about it. I've never seen it. Most persons I know who've earned a degree value that degree, because we understand it's not. I did not go to college because I wanted to. I did it because I felt I had to, in order to get the credentials, the resource, the proof, the evidence, the requirement to allow me to walk into rooms I want to walk into, to achieve things I want to achieve, to get the job I want to get. You see, the degree is not something one just walks into just because. No, there's a definite goal in mind. There are intentions in mind. So there is no way. I've never heard someone talk about their degree so flippantly and, oh, I can't get my credentials and that's it. Let me tell you something. I'm going to wrap this up because it is pretty simple to me. We have a responsibility to receive information, then make wise choices, informed choices. And when we fail to do that and instead get busy complaining about people, and some of us who are complaining, she's never impacted. See, but it's not, she did not position herself on our television or in our minds. We chose to watch what she was saying. We love excitement, but we have to ask ourselves, what gets my attention? Am I invested where I'm investing, or am I investing where I'm not invested? Yeah. Do you find that the things that capture your attention or that get your attention, where you pay your attention, are in places and spaces and with people who aren't fulfilling you in the right way. Because people saying, oh, they position her and blah, blah, blah. They can position. There are many other people that are positioned that we don't even know because we don't pay attention to them. So why don't we value people for what they have to offer, take the good and leave the bad? Like somebody said, eat the meat and spit out the bone, because we all have meat and we all have bone. And I'm not saying that this lady should go around and lie. I have not heard a lie yet. We're the ones busy, instead of hearing what she said and paying attention to that. We're the ones who just run off with the clickbait, the high points and the excitement, the pieces that excite us, and then start telling her who she should be rather than listen. She ran into 3 degrees. What more do we need to hear? She ran into 3 degrees. She said it. I didn't. Okay? According to that clip, it came out of her, came from her lips. I've never heard someone describe having their degree that like that. I earned mine. I have a bachelor's. That's it. But I earned it. I went to school. Okay? I didn't run into that. I wish I could have, but if I could run into some degrees, because I started my master's and stopped. If I could run into some degrees, I would. I was offered an honorary doctorate and I turned it down. All right? Because by that time, it wasn't that essential to me anymore, because I had learned and realized that purpose matters. And it's just a lot that matters. And after I grew up for a while, I realized like some of the things I was chasing aren't that important. You know what I mean? So now I want to talk to you about the advantages and disadvantages. So advantages: credentials can protect standards and public trust. Education often reflects discipline, sacrifice, and commitment. Qualifications help people assess risk and expertise, right? Now, when I listened to Cheyenne Bryant speak, especially, I didn't play the clip here, especially the part where she said, and I tell you again, listen to her. She said something to the effect of, let me see if I find it. No, something to the effect of, for my doc squad and for those people, like she's saying, for those people who support her, she'll go ahead and explain to them. But for those who didn't accept her anyway and will find reason not to accept her or whatever, they can F off. You hear what it says? Education often reflects discipline, sacrifice, and commitment. Credentials can protect standards and public trust. I don't think I need to say anything more. If we pay attention to people, we'll know who are just hustling us and who are really seeking to edify us, to uplift us, to build us. And I am someone who I don't want anyone to do anything for me for free, including uplifting me. I will pay you to. Because the truth of the matter is, the only way you can prioritize me is if I remove the worries you have so you can actually prioritize me. For example, paying you so you don't have to worry about being hungry. You don't have to worry about your bills. You don't have to worry about electricity and all of that. You don't have to worry about having a space to facilitate me, because I am paying you so you can go pay the bills, so you can focus on me to serve me. And that's some of the things that people just don't understand. Right? But again, I'm yet to hear someone who have earned their degrees even express themselves in that way. People who have degrees, they want you to respect them for it. They want you to know that they have it, and they want to act like they have it so you can know they have it. And to me, this is a lady who flaunts herself, which nothing is wrong with it. Whatever works, yes. But for somebody who is so self-confident and you're out, here I am. I cannot foresee such a person not also flaunting their qualifications. I just can't see it personally. I can't see it. Anyway, the disadvantages. Credentials alone do not guarantee character. And that's true. right? Credentials alone do not guarantee character. Degrees do not automatically equal wisdom or ethics. Overvaluing titles can silence lived experience and practical skill. Now, clearly, this lady has some gifts because she's captured attention for a while. She also has businesses that she's ran, right? Successfully. So clearly, there are natural gifts and talents there. Can't take that away from her. But we are the ones, again, every customer, employer, investor. And remember, when you hire a coach or anyone you hire, you become an employer, right? You see, the thing is with us as individuals, we forget that we're a whole CEO and boss of our own lives. And sometimes we show up in subservient, submissive in spaces where we really are the ones with the power. As a consumer, you're hiring, you're contracting. Yeah. Every customer, employer, investor, donor, and community member has a responsibility to research where they invest. And with that said, right, I just want to, I haven't gone to the next clip yet. I need to move. Okay, time. So personal accountability reflection. I want you to think about this today. So I think accountability lives on both sides. The professional must represent themselves honestly, or I like to say with truth. The consumer must research responsibly and listen to what someone says. That's a part of your research. Not to interpret them, but to hear the information. The consumer must research responsibly. The institution must verify appropriately. And the public, we should learn not to outsource our thinking. The public should learn not to outsource our thinking. Now, let's go on to the next clip. And this one I have, so I'm going to be sharing this one on the screen. So this one is Devale Ellis on group economics.
I hear this, but it is difficult to make it on your own, even if you're a high earner. Don't go out there and try to pay all this rent by yourself. The easiest way to make it in life is group economics. In order to make what our parents made in the 90s, like 6 figures.
So pause right there. I like this topic that he's talking about. And so this one hits me differently because what he describes in many ways is the ideal. Shared effort, community, support, building together. As for those of you who've been listening for a while, I'm building my own ecosystem, my own network. It's called the Calm Collective. It's a community that I'm building around my business that my hope is that we can see the value in it and uptake it, and we can both benefit in this way, right? Group economics, right? So community support, building together. And honestly, it reminded me of college. Yes, it did.
And Men of Excellence Outreach Ministries is a global church without walls. We're serving communities through live services, prayer intervention, and outreach that changes lives. Support our $500 monthly giving drive at wamoe.org/give. Shop with purpose at faithmerchandise.com, featuring Dr. Faith's Miracle Lemonade. Book Dr. Faith for therapy, speaking, or ministry at drfaithreborn.com. Grow through professional connection and vocational training at theexcelproject.com. Subscribe to our monthly newsletter and follow us on socials at WAMO Ministries. Become a great motivator. Help us empower minds for success in the kingdom of God.
Welcome to mycoachministry.com. We're on a mission to empower 1 million purpose-driven entrepreneurs, turning calling into currency Through strategic coaching, we guide visionary leaders, brand elevation, and creative empowerment, helping leaders break barriers and own their identity. Build impactful, wealth-generating brands that echo across generations.
In college, right? When I started college, I remember my father he don't pay I think it was $33,000 he don't pay. That was not the full, I don't know what salaries in my head, but school fee, it was not it. And so I had to enter the work study program. And I remember when I started, the first job I got was in custodial services, that is cleaning and all of that. And I remember like you're cleaning the classrooms and the bathrooms and stuff like that. And I remember the first time they sent me out on a job, and I want to say to the person who was so amazing to me, we're not close anymore, and that's okay, because relationships serve their purpose, and sometimes some of them last and some of them don't, but it's a relationship I will always value. I will always value her. I will always love her for it. And I remember the first one we were to clean a bathroom, and I could not handle it. It was very difficult for me. And I remember we went and she was there, and I remember we made this agreement. She said, all right, help me study and I'll do the cleaning. And that was where it started. And so she would do all the cleaning, and I would tutor. She'd be cleaning and I'm reading her textbook to her, and I'm having discussions and I'm helping her. So because I helped her with all the other exams except math, because she was fantastic with math. Like, she's a math teacher now. Like, when I tell her she loved math, she's great at it. But when it came to the other courses that she had to do, helped her through all of that. And in return, she helped me with the cleaning. She helped me with the economics. She was the one who sold things. Without her, I would have had no home. As a matter of fact, when I graduated from university, I had nowhere to live. I was going to be homeless. And I remember that night I begged. When I tell you I begged, I was begging for about an hour or two. I think I was begging for more than 2 hours before the driver who came for her, the guy who was driving the van, said, okay, just let her come. Just let her come. Because that night I did not know what I was going to do. I had nowhere to live, nowhere to go. And I was begging her, because throughout the entire time of college, she was kind of my support system financially. She helped me a lot financially because I did not have any help. So I'm talking about group economics, as he's talking about. I could not have survived college without group economics, right? Anyway, so there were seasons where many of us survived because of group economics, right? And even when I speak with her, and because I've told her thanks many times, and to be honest with you, I still feel like I owe her a check. And if I ever became wealthy, that's a check. She would be one of the first persons I give a check to. That's just how I feel about it, because I just still feel like I owe her, even though I was there for her too. And she said it, she's like, we were there for each other. But I'm telling you, and there were other people, but I was just sharing that one. There are other people. There are those who are still in my life right now. There's one who's still in my life. I don't know if she's gonna hear this, but she is my safe place. A safe place, Anyway, we shared notes, we shared food, we shared rides, we shared opportunities, and together we made it. I remember I was like her little security guard. Anyway, and we made it, right? So what he's saying makes real sense. Let's continue.
You would have to make over $250,000. That means living in New York. If you make $250,000 living in New York, you're living practically paycheck to paycheck.
Literally.
So even if you're considered a high earner, you're still not earning high enough to live on your own. So we have to get out of our mindsets that we can just get a job out of college, run to pay rent, and just build a life. It's impossible. Get with some people who think like you. Only way I've been able to make anything happen in my life is all because of group economics. I will not sit here and say it was me by myself.
All right. And he's, what he's saying is correct. I could not have made it without group economics. As a matter of fact, is there anyone making it without group economics? Because your customers are a part of your network. And that's why for me, I build my network, because I take on an accountability and a responsibility that those people who fund me, who invest in me, I am building a system where they have the option to tap in or not for more benefits, because there's something I live by. If you pay me $1, I commit myself to delivering the value of $2. That's something that I practice heavily, because I think it's because of how I grew up, and I've never had the luxury of feeling like someone is responsible for me. And so when someone chooses to invest in me, I really, truly, deeply value it, because I almost feel like you didn't have to, but you have. My parents were stuck with me and, to a great extent abandoned me. I was an abandoned, neglected child who had to figure things out on her own. So when someone shows up and makes that commitment, I have such deep appreciation for it that I want to make sure that I'm offering value so that I within myself can feel like there's fair trade here, and that's why I build a network around my business. It's for the benefit of all those who are connected to me. You know what I mean? And I feel so satisfied that there's so much value there without even coming to me, just by entering my system, whether it's my website, mycoachministry.com or tastyfoodadventures.com or kellysfitnessadventures.com. There's useful information there. There are all sorts of, there's entertainment there. There are things there that you can uptake and you can enjoy, even without speaking to me. You know what I mean? So value, it's about adding value, and absolutely. But I also carry another reality. I'm a single woman. I have never had the honor of being someone's wife, and support systems have not always been present in my life, like I said. So when I hear conversations about community economics, my question becomes, how do we build this in communities operating from survival mode? How do we build this in communities operating from survival mode or operating in survival mode? How do we do that in a way that is safe for everyone? When hustle culture is everywhere, when trust is low, when people fear scarcity, how do we rebuild real connection? How do we do that? How do we do that? Because I think those things are equally important, right? Anyway, group economics reduces pressure. We're going to go through some advantages and disadvantages. So advantages, right? Group economics reduces pressure on individuals. Shared resources can accelerate growth. Community support increases resilience. This makes me so emotional, because I'd love to have a community around my physical existence, if that makes sense. And I've never really had it, and I don't even know how to. I wouldn't even know how to get it, Anyway. Unequal contribution the disadvantages. Unequal contribution can create resentment. Trust issues can damage collaboration. Survival environments may prioritize money over relationships. Yeah. Personal accountability reflection. Community matters, but personal responsibility still matters. People cannot pour from empty cups. We need healthier people to build healthier systems, to create healthier economics. Now, our final clip. And this is an actress that I really, really like her. I first met her on Lincoln Lawyers. Yeah, Lincoln Lawyers, something like that, or Lincoln Lawyer, something like that. The name of the show on Netflix. that was where I saw her for the first time. And then I went to research her and found out that she was on America's Next Top Model and so on. But I love her. She have the head wrap thing. And I'm a head wrap girl. I don't know why. Like, I feel the most beautiful when my head is wrapped, when I wrap my hair. I feel the most myself when I wrap my hair. Yeah. Let's go.
This is not our language.
That-
We're all speaking white. This is not our language. We're all speaking white. This is not our language.
We're all speaking white. Listen, if you're on my Facebook page, and if you've been on my Facebook page for a while, you'd have heard me talk about the English language for a while. Funny enough, I never necessarily saw it in this way. We're speaking white, but I've always known that English was supposed to be a tool. And I feel like we have, it's like, let me put it like this. It's like it was supposed to be a uniform, but it has somehow become our skin. It was not meant to be our skin. It was meant to be a tool to achieve a certain goal. But now it's like, if you're not speaking English and speaking it a certain way, then, like recently I heard that I'm in Jamaica, I'm Jamaican. And recently I'm hearing where they're saying the language, the language or the tongue of the people is no longer welcomed in the parliament or the room where governance happens, or where laws and governance is developed, or where the discussions are held. And so it's almost, to me, it's like you're saying, it's like, to me, I feel like you're saying you're not you have no sovereign here. If that's what you're saying to the people, because you're saying to them now, you will have to interpret what we say. So there's a barrier there. It even come mighty close to feeling like ostracizing, marginalizing, demeaning, and what's that word? Disregarding, people. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying it comes mighty close to sounding like that for me, because now you're saying to understand us, you will have to go get an interpreter, or you'll have to go transform your language so that you can understand with directness, or that at first-hand account, for you to have first-hand account understanding. So that first-hand account understanding is being removed. So now you'll have to get an interpreter, or you're going to have to become an interpreter so that you can get the basic understanding of what of the leadership and the governance of the country where you were born. It's a weird thing. It's a very, very weird thing for me. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying this is what it is, but it almost says to me that you're a foreigner here. That's how it sounds. It comes across to me. But hey, yeah. So we're all speaking white. So I'm saying that I've always known that there's something about this language thing, because it migrated from being, or elevated from being just a tool, an optional tool, to now it's this requirement that the world has placed on us without equipping us with the resource to matriculate, to achieve, to reach where they're trying to get us to be. Like, is it now mandatory that everyone now must go learn the English language or whatever? And and after you do, and it becomes so mandatory, how does it impact who you are, who you were born to be? How does it impact the nature of who you are? Or does that not matter? Anyway, let's stay on script. There's a reason I write the script. I can stay on script. All right. So now this conversation, like I said, a conversation touched me personally, and it was like a personal trigger for me. So it's a personal trigger for me, and I want to approach it carefully. which of these am I reading? Let me read this one, yeah. And I want to approach it carefully. I have, why am I getting emotional with this? See, this book, The Rebel Piglet, that's me. And The Rebel Piglet is a heartfelt coming-of-age story about courage, curiosity, and finding light in unlikely places, perfect for middle-grade readers who love stories of resilience, imagination, and the quiet power of hope. I'm the Rebel Piglet because I never fit in. Growing up, I never fit in. I feel like we keep dangling these carrots in front of people, this survival carrot in front of people. And we keep giving them these challenges that they must overcome without equipping them with the resources, the tools, and the support for them to actually climb to reach where you have this thing. But whether or not they reach it, the consequences reach them. You know, it's like the achievements they have to struggle to reach, but the consequences come down like rain on top of them, and it really bothers me. You know, anyway, I have often struggled with the idea that language, something designed as a tool, can become identity. In my opinion, language shapes perception. Words create images. Images influence assumptions. And assumptions influence behavior. I don't know, I'm getting emotional. Sometimes I wonder how much of what we think begins at the sound of a word. Because language can organize, but language can also condition. And then after we go through all of this, we're still criticized. Perhaps as Cheyenne Bryant felt she had to present herself in a certain way, because though she knows she has natural gifts and talents, she will still not be accepted in the room unless she grabs that carrot. And survival sometimes says, by any means necessary. I'm not agreeing with what she's done because I don't know enough to know whether or not I agree. Anyway, here are some advantages. Shared language improves communication. Well, I don't think it improves communication. I think it improves connection. Standard language systems help education and administration. And again, what is education? The fish does not have to learn how to swim. It was born with that capacity. Common language creates access across cultures. Yes. A standardized language system helps the sharing and accessing and interpreting of information. But I believe that education does not require any language, because if education is about learning, then we don't need language to learn. As a matter of fact, I remember my niece at 3 years old, she said to me, "Auntie, there are 3 L's in learning, and talking is not one of them. Look, listen, learn." We don't need language for that. Disadvantages. Language dominance can overshadow cultural identity. And I will extend that by saying not just cultural identity, but creator identity. The intention of God when he created someone. I think language dominance is interference in God's business. Yeah, by all means, introduce something, but to make it dominant, to make it mandatory, to use language as an invisible wall to ostracize and marginalize and kick people out so they cannot have first-hand understanding of something should be criminal. Every language outside of someone's natural tongue should be something that an interpreter it is something that is interpreted, and therefore by virtue of it having to be interpreted, it should not be primary. So now, anyway, so language dominance can overshadow cultural identity. Words may carry hidden bias or assumptions, not just may, they do. Uniform systems sometimes reduce diversity of expression. It's like controlled expression. So the personal accountability reflection here, I don't believe the answer is rejecting language. No, absolutely not. It's an excellent tool. I think the answer is awareness, questioning, learning, choosing intentionally, because tools should serve people. People should not disappear inside the tools. That's it. People shouldn't disappear inside the tools. Thank you, Yaya, for that. Thank you for that. Let me hear what you said after that.
Wow.
So what's the big deal?
But they
I have never quite heard it that way.
They don't think so.
I have never quite heard it that way before, because it's always been about the
Come
information.
to me in Kiswahili, then we can have a conversation. Come to me, I'm learning Yoruba right now. Then we can have a conversation. Because I'm trying to understand the pre-colonial mind. But how do I do that when all I know are colonial languages? That affects how we think.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
That is powerful, because you just broke, that's just going to break the internet, first off, because
it's not just control, it's not just affect how we think, it controls how we think. But I'm going to move on, because this is a very emotional topic for me. It controls how we think. And just imagine the impact of thinking on the rest of our lives and the outcomes of our lives, on success. What's the role of thinking and how it impacts the rest of our lives when it is taken from us? Anyway, so today we talked about credentials, community, language, identity, economics, accountability, and through all of it, one thought stayed with me. A perfect life may not be possible, but a life of personal choice is. A life lived intentionally, a life lived on your own terms, that is possible. And maybe accountability is not about perfection. Maybe it is simply asking, did I choose consciously? This has been Allegedly. Oh, I'm Coach Racquel. So I just want to ask this. So I just want to ask this question, and it may sound silly, but I'm not afraid of being stupid or sounding stupid. If someone else determines how I think, if my thoughts are influenced by somebody else, am I responsible for my actions? I'm just asking. Thank you for watching. Allegedly. I'm Coach Racquel.
Unlock your potential every Thursday with our podcast, Refresh, Relax, Renew. Join Coach Racquel as she guides you through personal development journeys. Each episode focuses on actionable steps to enhance your personal journey. The podcast features 3 main segments to keep you engaged. We start with discussions on trending topics relevant to your growth. Then we unbox solutions to common challenges we face daily. Finally, stay updated with fresh funding opportunities each week. Tune in every Thursday for new episodes, and see you there.